that was a lie. I want to take you on a very small but impactful journey. So, I guess starting about 12 years ago, God started talking to me about going to get my PhD. And I already had a master's in social work, a master's in educational leadership. Your girl was done, okay? I wasn't doing anything else. So I literally told God no for 7 years. I don't know who I thought I was. So, long story short story, I decided to be obedient. And again, I don't know who I thought I was, but I told God, okay, if you want me to do this, then you need to find me a program that focuses on Black people and psychology, okay? Now, the only program that I knew that existed like that was at Howard, but I knew that I wasn't supposed to move. I'm from California, okay? So, fast forward, long story short, I end up in the post-bac or clinical psychology program where Dr. Jacqueline also ran the whole program. So that's where I first met Dr. Jacqueline in 2020, okay? She has been Team LaTanya from day one. Okay, I was looking for you, here you are, okay. So, fast forward, I'm really unhappy at the end of the program because what happens in the post-bac program, it prepares you to get accepted to PhD programs. It really increases your chances, right? Why was I unhappy? I'm glad you asked that. I was unhappy because, again, I already had a master's in social work. I already was a licensed clinical social worker. So I did not want to do the clinical program. Did not want to do that. Like every being and every piece of me in my being did not want to do that. So, man, this is so amazing to say. So at the very end of the post-bac program, Dr. Jacqueline, who I belovedly call Dr. J, announces that she has this new program coming out and she wants everybody to come to the info session. So I got an attitude. I'm like, I ain't going to info session, you know, I already don't want to do this. I don't even know what this is. I don't want to do it either, right? So I end up going to the info session. And one of the ways I can feel like the stirring of the Holy Spirit in me is I start to ask a bunch of questions. So Dr. J will attest, if there were 20 questions asked in this info meeting, I asked probably like 15 or 16 of the questions, okay? And everything that was asked was confirmation that this was the program for me, okay? Now, what was so awesome about this program, it was not clinical, so I didn't have to be in school another 75 years and do all that and get licensed and all those things I've already done. But it was a general psychology program that gave me the opportunity to create my own specialization, okay? So I created a specialization, soul care and Black liberation. So God answered my prayers. I got a PhD in something pertaining to Black people and psychology, right? So with that being said, what else is so amazing about this, and I shared this with Dr. J over the course of this program, is that I know for certain God created this program just for me. And a confirmation of that is that in 2025, the way this program is structured and even the name of the program is changing. So right when I came into the very first cohort of this program, here I am, and then I'm leaving, and there that goes. So God created this just for me. So with that, there are about 2% of the US population that have PhDs. So we know there's a bunch of different disciplines, right? We have psychology, of course, we're here for that. We have medicine, astrophysics, education, whatever, right? All 2% of the whole population have PhDs. In the field of psychology, only 5%. So just think about it, 5% of the 2%, to tell you how small the percentage is of Black people that have PhDs. And so now, I am a part of that very small percentage, and I'm really grateful. So, yes. So how my research came about was, again, as a licensed clinical social worker, in my clinical practice and in my coaching practice, I focus on Black clinicians. So one of the things that I noticed was that for all of us, including myself, was that in times of all the different, we've had an ongoing racial pandemic, right? Nobody's oblivious to that. And then when the COVID pandemic came, there were all these other layers. And then we have people like Breonna Taylor that was killed, and Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd, all these things that happened. But guess what? Black therapists, we have to continue to serve in spite of us being hurt. And so I knew for me, one of the things that, or the thing that really kept me moving and going without having PTSD and depression and anxiety and all these things was my connection to God, right? And so in my work, I have a framework of soul care. So my dissertation, again, is about soul care of Black therapists. And so that's kind of how that came about, because I wanted to know that other Black therapists had the connection with God in the same way that I did, and that's how they were able to keep moving, despite of all the things that we're experiencing, historically and currently. All right, so next are my thank yous. I'm gonna say family and friends, but like it's important to note that my friends are my family. I'm gonna start with my daddy, who's over there. Hey. Since I was a little girl, he's told me I was going to be a doctor, and he always has worn glasses, so I always say, you must need to have another ophthalmologist, because that's not going to happen. I'm not about to be a doctor. So I have to shout out my dad, always very supportive. My cousin, sister, bestie, Erica, we have done our undergrad together, our MSW together, and after that she told me I was on my own. But she's always just like the GOAT. Prayers and support all the time. I have to acknowledge I have family here from DMV, from Florida, and most of my people have come all the way from California as well. So a lot of love, prayers, encouragement, and support. And it's made all the difference, literally. One little thing that you could say, you know, I'm looking at my cousin Val, I always tell her she's like the president of my fan club, okay? So I really appreciate all of you so very much. I also have family in heaven that are looking down on me. And my dad reminded me last night, because I was like, oh God, I'm glad that you're still here to see this, because some of them, like my mom is gone, my grandmommy, and my favorite auntie, like all, are gone. And he said, well, you know what? They saw you become very accomplished already. They knew what you were capable of, So I appreciate that. To my committee, Dr. Green, I wish he was in here, but Dr. Green got me all the way together when I was really trying to hone in on my research question. And he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me to get me to exactly what it was. And I really appreciate that. Dr. Shelley Harrell was my external faculty examiner, and she actually created one of the measures that I used in my study. Dr. KJ, Dr. Christine Jacqueline, you have literally been everything. Like I said, from day one, just a huge support, support and encouragement, and those are not the same things. Just from the very beginning. Even before I started postdoc, we had this really long conversation. I kind of shared with her what like my long-term goals were. And from the beginning, she said, you know what? I'm committed to your success. And she has held her word. So I really appreciate you. And you're not done with me, even though I'm done with fielding, okay? All right. All right. And then also, I've said this before, I'm going to say this forever, is that God showing up for me, nobody knows how much he had to show for me to get to this point. And so I'm really grateful to God. I really want to dedicate my degree to doctors of, irrespective of the discipline, but from the African diaspora that came before me, because they helped to create the platform for me to do the work that I do and for me to be here right now. And also doctors that will be future doctors, I should have said that, and that I'm helping creating the platform for them to become. So for all the little black girls and little black boys, they can look at me and say, you know what, whatever God calls them to do, they can do it, because I have done it under some very extreme circumstances. And so, thank you, and all power to the people.